Hello and welcome to Banished, and I have just gotten our RedKetchup Editor's Choice 1.3 version update, and this should be the final, maybe with, possible minor bug stuff. And I was going to start a map, however, you got some of these original maps, and then I just started scrolling through these lists, and it's just ungodly huge. And he's got different kinds of ground cover and stuff for all these things, variations. I mean, he's just added a whole lot of new stuff. And so I haven't been on this one. I'll just select this one. The basic, everything else is pretty much, he has different kinds of starts. So you got like Jack and Jill's, you're going to have a couple people starting off. You're going to have a couple different hard starts with some families, a couple different mediums, which are kind of interesting because you can choose to start with like crop seeds or like a crop in an orchard or just like an orchard seed or whatnot. Shepherd will just let you start with some livestock. Farmers just the crop seeds. So a lot of different variety on what you can start with. So I mean, for me, it's not gonna matter. So from here, I just wanted to have a totally separate episode because there's just so much that he's decided to put in here. Oh wow, okay. So lakes, you're gonna get lakes. There's like totally just different kinds of looking ground cover here. There's some different trees that he had implemented in last time. This one at the moment looks very pine tree-ish, but we're not like in spring kind of thing. So I will let him go into spring just so we can kind of see things and see if it kind of gets a little bit better with the trees kind of and the flowers and stuff fill out. So likewise, from the start, he's gotten all these basic houses and reskinned them. So they're going to look a little different than the base game stuff, but he has the base game stuff in here. Same with the different kinds of roads. He's got them similarly. Some of the things are reskinned with the same kind of either like the wood, like the barns, or it's going to have kind of the types of roofing. So some of them have alternatives, some of them do not. And having two of the traders is always nice to start out with. Well has the little covering to it that matches the roofs and stuff. There's a couple of variations of some of the basic things. You can go through these. A couple town hall types, so it's nice that you can just kind of choose what do you want it to go with your buildings. Like there's going to be a whole bunch, some of them that have just one roof type. You might want to choose a little bit differently. So this has a totally different design. We have a couple different things for woodcutters. Forester Lodge, there's one that's for just having some of the newer trees there. Herbalist is one of the ones that I really liked as well. So some of the, like the blacksmith doesn't have a different roof, but the tailor does. He redesigned the tavern, so he has a lot of more interesting buildings that are like that as well. We have a little ale stand, which I think that's new, put in, so that is really cute, even just to add for more decoration, and that can kind of be like mini parts of a market and stuff. So you got some of the basic game things, which are just altered a little bit with improved texture, and then we have his whole category of special stuff. The country houses have different kind of roofs and colors, and it's got the storage and the pantry, and he also has a different color set of variation. So this has a little bit different roof types, which does go with some other buildings. You just kind of have to look and decide which kind of buildings you want to go to with each other. We have the color houses, and he added a whole bunch more roof texture or roof colors in it than what was originally out first. Boston home, he has two styles here. Some of them are more brightly colored, the other ones have some duller colors, but they have a little bit of different dormers and such there. and he separated out his little houses. These are the one-story ones, but he has them for different kinds of various bricks, and they have a whole bunch of different variations as well. And then he also has added in his little houses. These all have like a little white siding, but there's lots of different variation there, some different colors, so you can kind of get an idea of what you want to mix. Like this will go well with one of the Boston homes. So some of them do match, but you can kind of just decide. And he has his multi-level ones where you can have 1-stories, and then you got corner ones, and then you also have the corner hostel design, which look a lot like this. They just will hold all the nomads and stuff that you'd wish to get in there. So he has lots of different variations for that, and the white and the whatever style you decide for the 2nd and 3rd level. So lots of different things there. And you gotta select each of them ones that you want. So he has multiple kinds of roofs and designs, textures for this. And a lot of these will also correspond to our canals. I'll briefly get into that one. So you can decide to make it at varying different widths and also varying different brick types. So that is also a very nice way to do it. So you can kind of color code your town with all these different things. So he originally had sandstone and brick, and I think sand brick in here. So now he's also added in, which these are going to be unbuilt, so they're going to be kind of difficult to see, but he's taken some of the patterns from all the other houses and has decided, if we want to have it go along with our canals, we can do that. We have stone bridges and red brick bridges and sandstone bridges, I'm assuming. So a lot of these, not going to be able to be done, but they're going to be these same kind of textures. So instead of just having our wooden bridge, we can now have some of our stone stuff. So that'll also help kind of complement using these types of roads. And he has also lots of different kinds of barns, just like this one here. He has a smaller version, and then a really small one, and then a little teeny kind of shed there. And so the greenery is pretty similar looking, but he also has, there's the root cellar, which would look good with some of the stone kind of things, and a meat locker, which is really nice and tidy there. Most of them only have one variation, but this will also fit very well with some of your white buildings and that, and a forest barn. And let's see, we got a different kind of market. This one's a little smaller than the base game one, so I imagine it has a smaller area effect, but then he also has the specialty. These things will fit underneath some of the multi-story stuff, so you can choose to do your 1-story stuff. Likewise, he also, in these corner buildings, you can decide to do the first floor as a corner specialty shop and then do the 2nd and 3rd stories above them, and that will also come in the different colors, so you can kind of color coordinate that. So he has a whole bunch of different variety of things that you can do with your multi-story buildings to kind of just make them a little bit better. And this guy, I think you could still put the 3rd story kind of thing up there. This is new. You didn't have this in here. Look, it's got a nice big barn door things here. So this is kind of interesting, and also the barn. So you can have some really big storage places inside your city without having to sacrifice and putting down, one of these type of things. So this is why I have to go through every little bit of this, because he's snuck in some things here. We got the medieval one, and that might also be able to have a 3rd story put on it. I'm not sure. We have some different kind of wooden chapels that will go with some of the different either little houses or any of the wooden houses, multi-story houses. also have one that is for brick with a couple different designs likewise. And he has a special tool, so if you want to do a fencing that and make your own kind of thing, there's a ghost crypt, and then there's ones that you can just do a whole fenceless kind of cemetery and lay down your plot there. We have his enormous cathedral, if you ever would decide to do that. We have a couple different mills for flour. That's one of them. The other one would be the water mill to go out on the water, and likewise would fit with a lot of the other types of buildings. We also have a lighthouse. You can go out here in the water, which I learned last time you need to have a little corner sticking out there in the water so it'll fit. And he has a couple of these buildings that they're separate that from the corner type buildings that you can fit under the second and third story stuff. And then there's a different kind of bathhouse. I never monkeyed with it. You might be able to fit like a second story on the right hand side of it. It might look weird. You'd have to kind of play with it. And then we have an old barn pub. So we got a couple pub options. We went through the corner buildings. We have a whole bunch of food stuff. We have a couple different dairies. So depending on your color scheme, you can kind of decide which one to do. Butcher, likewise, the wood and the bakery, they have the same kind of similar of textures. This one has a couple different variations of windows being open or different kind of stone textures, which are pretty useful in the game. And we have a whole bunch of different kind of like nut and fruit trees. And then you have tropical trees. And what this is a different kind of lodge, and it'll look different than the other lodges, which is kind of nice because you can kind of tell that, oh, that's a special lodge, and they have a much smaller area effect there. And he has it's very similar to the regular well, but it's a little bit different. It has, this is just for getting water, and you're going to need that for the greenhouse. Otherwise, you can also get this from water towers. So there's another way to get some food, and this is a nice little decoration and functional piece. So this one I think has a fence or a not fence option, so you can kind of choose to do stuff around that. We have one style of apiary. We have a smoker, so a lot of these things, the smoker, the salter, the drying shack, they also, and the butcher also just help you get more bang for your buck out of all your foods. And here's another big list, which I see a couple icons have been changed. Fodder farm, so it can collect and grow fodder. Stables that will use the fodder to make fertilizer. Malt house, and some of this stuff is getting in the process of making beer and strong beer, so that will be useful there. Florist works well with the fodder farm. Perfumery, you end up have to get a couple of these. The furniture maker and the weapon maker and the armor maker were new additions to 1.2. Very detailed models similar to that tavern and such. So we're getting a couple buildings that are town buildings. We got sand pit, these things that will go on the shoreline to collect sand. And likewise the clay also to be on the shoreline. Got our kiln, one variation there. This is new. We have a charcoal kiln. So we get to take firewood and make charcoal into it so we can get a little bit more fuel out of things, which I believe things like the glassmaker uses firewood or coal. Charcoal may be an option for that. A salt mine, just so you can have just salt for your sultry, your salting meats and such. The iron mine will let you do iron and copper, which is very similar to also the rock quarry. And that one lets you do the stone, coal, and salt. So you can do a lot of different options. and then the random one, and it looks, you know, they're all slightly different, but this one will let you get a little bit of everything. Foundry, so we can smelt up all of our iron and copper and gold and silver, and you get to choose which to do. Jewelry maker lets you put the gems and different bars together to make special jewelry, which is really good items to sell, and likewise you need to get your gem cutter to make the gems, and the gems do come from this random quarry. Also have he's also added a lot more in here. So from the simple fences, it looks like this kind of like unpainted kind of fence. And then this lets you do the ghosted, so you can just plop them down, but it still takes wood. And I wonder if these have been changed a little bit. So he has a bunch of, the icons have been changed anyhow. Each of these fences are kind of similar to the little houses or some of the colorful houses or Boston houses that they'll fit in. And there's a couple different entrances. There's some diagonal ones, and then you can make corners and stuff. So there's the regular ones, and then there's the ghosted version. One of them that lets you go right up against it, and one of them that lets you kind of go in the middle of the block. And then he has separate just his white fence, which I don't know if I've used that before, but that model looks a little bit different. It's pretty nice looking, and some of them have gates and whatnot, so that is a really nice model. So he has low walls of very different types, which I think he added in some of the other stone ones. I think there was about 5 of them in here, and I think he's added in a few more. So like now we can do wood ones, which is really nice addition. So you can kind of get a bit of variety of what kind of things you want to put around buildings, which of course you can also do like fenceless pastures or the graveyards or whatever, crop fields or something around it. The stone walls are a little bit different. There's ones that have a 3 section, and then there's some patterns in it if you want to use that. There's also really nice, I think he just added that one, the archway, and then there's various gates. So these are much taller ones, and this one also looks like a newer, I really like this one, a newer texture that's been added here, and that also looks like a new one. So it looks like it maybe added 2 in there. Oh wow. Okay, so these first 3 or 6 were already in here. We got a cedar, which is the really tall ones, the decorative cherry trees of various different colors, a couple different maple types. We got pine, birch, and oak, which are like what's already in game and around and such. And then he's added in some of these newer trees, like I guess down here. So we got a couple different variations of some different kinds of decorative trees, which are wonderful to add in here. And a different kind of maple, which is kind of like the sunset maples and such. A little bit different. So you can get a really good bit of difference and variation here, different colors. And then you got a couple small trees, which is really nice. He did add in the last patch some different fruit trees and stuff that you don't need to have the fruit with, so it's just purely decorative, but it can add a bit of variation in the way things look here. And added in decorative bushes. There's a lot of them that are like berry bushes. There's a little pineapple one, and then you got your bushy bush, and the flowers are all different. You kind of have to just decide and cycle through them. And then here's the question mark. What is this question mark? Okay, so he added a whole bunch of different benches. Okay, so some of these look diagonal. so that you'd have to kind of click on and see what it is. And I really like these 2 chair things. And so you can make also your tables and chairs, so that's also new. Clotheslines, different various kinds, some with poles, some that you can stick between houses and have it look like it's running from house to house, a couple diagonals. We got a few different kinds of carts here, some with barrels and some with decoration in it. Alright, and I got some larger carts, looks like. So you can kind of stick them around, like you can actually try to make like your own kind of market. Alright, and then next he also added in a bunch of different kinds of stone statues. This isn't saying it's taking anything. Okay, I don't know if it actually would take any resources. It's not saying it is. Some marble. Okay, you can get columns. The columns are pretty nice. And we got stuff that is jade. Alright. And then more decoration. A couple different kinds of water pumps. So going through cycling it through, you can see there's different types. You can rotate it, but there's a couple different sizes. Alright, some different barrels. Oh, I'm gonna I can feel it now. My game is gonna lag like crazy once I get all these different kinds of barrels and crates and stuff. Okay, here's a big variation. This is just the last one that has a lot of different ones. Logs. Okay. Got some different kinds of log piles. Got decorative hay stacks, so that one you cycle through there and get different ones. Be nice for fields and such. We got an outhouse, so some different angles and whatnot. And playgrounds, so you can decorate your schools and such. And we have different size rocks probably here. A lot of different various shapes and such, with some different kinds of textures on both of those. Looks like some more gray, a little gray back. And the signs. So lots of different directional ones, a couple different colors. Okay, and then he also decided on adding this by someone had wanted it's added. So you can essentially make your own stables with all these added haystacks and fencing and such. You could probably just make your own. Alright, so that is the decorative stuff. Okay, we basically went through the canals, but the dock stuff out here, you got your dock that goes on the inside, we have your stairs that goes down to it, and then you have your other dock that goes inside the water, which is a little bit lower, corner pieces, and then a bridge if you decided that you want, like from here to here and you want the boat to travel through it or whatnot. We have one type of house, but it is lots of different variations that can go on the water. We got a barn, a small one, and then a stockpile to go out on the water. There's 2 different types of little dock storage, which is kind of nice. You can fit it or you can just decoratively, put it in. And there is a market out here. Likewise, you can see that these buildings don't, when they get too close to the coastline, they don't play very well. So all this stuff does have to be on the water. And the school, the hospital, the town hall, which has been pretty nice, convenient, and the chapel. So a lot of the dock stuff will look very similar in the same roofing styles. The water mill, so that's another mill for flour, and all of this seafood and farm stuff got added in the last one. So lots of food variety. We have a wood cutter, what he did add was a wood drifter dock, and so that is like so you can kind of scavenge some wood. The blacksmith was in there. We have a sawmill that was also in there, and a tailor. And then we have our different kind of tavern. It's going to be out in the water. And he did add in this water mine, so kind of like the gold panning mine that kind of goes off the water. So I think this can get various different precious iron, copper, silver, stone, gold, or stone, maybe gems. And then one of the nice things that he's added is this fencing, so that'll make things really nice. That if you want to make a large area and you can just kind of like essentially like make it a pier or something, that is really good. So one of the other big parts that got added to this was he decided to do stone. We got stone stairs, we got the stone walking part of it with the different sites, the corner, and likewise we have a stone bridge, which looks lovely. That is really nice. I almost want to use this to be across the river or something and then build off the dock stuff. That, if you got something large enough, that would work really well. So we have one roof type, but various different kinds of houses that are stone. And let's see, we got a barn. And some of them are going to be very similar. They're going to just complement. Of course, that one's a little bit different, which looks really nice. There's our stone market and our stone trading dock. School, which has the fencing. That's a really good idea to have the fencing there for the kiddos. Got the hospital, the town hall, which looks pretty nice. And that's kind of nice because that's got a different stone texture and roofing to look different than his other types of housing. So we have a fishing dock and a watermill. So if you want to have the other farming stuff, you're going to have to use the wooden set for the other farm type of things. So very similar style as the wooden version. It looks really nice there. And then he's also included the drifter dock there. And this fence is a different color. Glad he did that. So we can have another fence in. And it does, that's kind of interesting, it sits really low. So this fence actually does look like you could kind of use it around the coast a little bit. In some spots it might be an interesting way to do that. And then likewise in his stuff, you get the normal harvesting stuff, but he also has the harvest. The copper, which is special. Then almost all, so it lets you get any kind of stray silver and gold. And the dead wood, so it lets you just collect just kind of like essentially firewood, fodder, flowers, and you got the herbs kind of thing. And he does have the tool that in case you're messing around and doing stuff with either your mines or the pond or the canals, that you can choose to flatten stuff. And this is just a fake map, but you can also then kind of decide to flatten stuff, which of course will have the nice lovely ground texture after you've already flattened that sort of thing. But that is his update for 1.3, and it adds in quite a bit. Quite a bit more versatility. I wish that these could have been filled in, because I don't have the stone and stuff for them to kind of do that. But yeah, obviously the ghosted stuff just popped right up, so that those statues didn't cost anything. So that's a good thing to note, that if you want some of the decoration, it's not going to cost you, and other things of the decoration will cost you. But do check it out. It is out on the workshop, and there I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other people that'll be updating their maps as well to 1.3. So you can have plenty of more Banished Wednesday and whatnot. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.